See who's in.
So welcome we've been just a reminder that if you are a speaker or a board member, you're going to get a little pop-up about being promoted to panelist. So when you see that, please try to click on that. If you miss it, we'll do it again and get you taken care of. Just takes a moment to click on everybody.
Hey Abby, how are you?
I am doing great. How are you doing?
Thanks.
Excellent.
Hello, Alicia. Hello, Lisa. So nice to have you both.
Hello,
Hi,
hello. How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Surviving and thriving, my friend. That's all what I do every day now.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here. We're so happy that you both have joined the council.
Absolutely happy to be here.
Wonderful. We have one of our new advisory council members is a monolingual Spanish speaker. We're so honored to have her. So we have a few interpreters here. It's our first time using this technology, so you might need to bear with us a little bit. And I want to make sure, yes, we are recording now. So as you all are coming in, we haven't officially started the meeting, but everything is being recorded. Hello, Michelle. Hello, Miriam. Hi, everyone. Hello, Seth. Welcome.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. Hey, Jessica. Thank you so much for being here. Madison, hello. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Give a few more minutes for folks to come on. We do have a quorum, so we can start whenever we need to. Just give a few more minutes for folks to trickle in. Hey, Molly, great to see you.
Hi everyone, this is Molly. I can't seem to get my camera to work on this computer. I've turned it off and restarted it, so sorry.
No worries, no worries.
Camera today.
Okay. I think we have all of our presenters and our two interpreters. I'm just monitoring my email on my phone if I'm looking down to see if folks have been trying to get a hold of me to get in. We have a really full agenda here today. We have our 4 new advisory council members that I'm so excited for you all to be able to meet. And then we also have some guest presenters from Rocky Mountain Human Services to report on some of the requested topics that you all brought, wanting to learn more about the intellectual and developmental disability determination process and programs and services that are available through RMHS and those that are specifically funded by the mill levy. So I want to make sure that we have enough time for you all to listen to all that wonderful material. We may have to pause. We have one of our new council members, Adriana, is here. She'll be joining us as a monolingual Spanish speaker. We're so excited to have her. So this will be the first time we're using some interpretation technology on Zoom. I am going to go ahead and get started as soon as Adriana joins us. I think what I'm going to do is pause and make sure that we can get her set up with our interpreters. But otherwise, I think we are okay to get started. So If you'll bear with me, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Is that coming through for all of you okay?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so this is the IDEAS Advisory Council. It's our June meeting, and we're so happy to have you all here. And I'm gonna toggle over here. Sorry, this is a new role for me, is facilitating and slides. So thanks for your patience in advance. Again, we have a very full agenda today. After we take care of our regular business, going through updates, approving minutes, acknowledging the kind of uncertainty and anxiety of living in today's world, and especially living as people that are part of the disability community. We'll have that presentation by Rocky Mountain Human Services. We'd love to get them started at 1:30 so that we can hear from them for about 40 minutes. We'll take about a 5-minute break, and then we can come back for questions. We had initially slotted about 15 minutes for those questions. We don't have anyone registered for public comment. So if it's okay with your fabulous chairs, we can maybe extend a little bit further, but then I know that they have plans wanting to talk to you all about agenda topics for our upcoming meetings. So we'll probably go over by about 10 minutes if we need to for questions, and then pause at 2:40. And then we can let the hosts, our chairs, Michelle and Brian, talk about plans for our upcoming meetings. Does that sound all right to everyone? Any questions? All right. So for those of you who are just joining, this is the Advisory Council for the Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities Equitable Access to Services Program, that's IDEAS. IDEAS partners with the community to manage local taxpayer dollars dedicated for Denver residents with intellectual and developmental disabilities and developmental delay. Our vision is to make Denver an inclusive community where people with IDD feel welcome, valued, and empowered to live the lives they envision for themselves. So the Advisory Council is a group of, you all are a group of amazing Denver residents with experience with IDD that work in the IDD field or have a loved one with IDD, and meets monthly to offer guidance on Denver Human Services to how to use these funds to meet the needs of the IDD community. So for those of you who have joined us from the public, thank you so much. Only our Advisory Council members and our guest presenters will be able to speak and engage with each other, but we welcome the public to come and observe these meetings so that you can hear all the great things that our partners are up to. And it looks like we have Adriana in our meeting. Lynn, is she a panelist yet? Okay, wonderful. And so Adriana, I want to make sure that you are able to access the interpretation. Let's see. Are you able to? I'm going to turn off interpretation so that our interpreters can speak. Okay. All right. Julie, Yvonne.
Julia. Or Julie,
Eve-
pues.
Yvonne here. Yes.
Yvonne,
Hi.
Hi.
Would you be able to interpret for Adriana and let her know where to access the Spanish channel once I turn it on?
Sure, I can do it. I actually have my mic on already. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, yes.
Okay, great. So is it Adriana? Is that correct? Her name is Adriana. Can you hear me? I am not hearing you. Okay, I'll just, I am not hearing you. I hope you're hearing me. Give me a thumbs up, somebody, if you're hearing me, possibly. Okay, great. So, Adriana, si usted me está escuchando, if you're hearing me, mira, usted puede tener acceso allí a la interpretación. You can have access to the interpretation por hacer clic allá en un botoncito que dice español o Spanish. Ok, si usted hace clic en Spanish, entonces va a poder escuchar la interpretación en español. Si alguien habla español, también van a poder oír así. Eh, los que hagan clic en el botón de inglés, those of you that click on English, va a poder oír el inglés. You're going to be able to hear the English. ¿Ok? Entonces, Adriana, haga clic en el botón de español cuando esté. No está ahora. So, click that Spanish button when it gets there. It's not there right now. Pero haga clic cuando llegue y va a poder oír a todo en español. So, click on that and you'll be able to hear everything in Spanish when it gets there.
¿Me escucha?
Ah, yes, we can hear you. Do you hear me?
Sí, pero cuando le doy para irme a idiomas, no me
Okay,
sale, no me
okay.
sale para
Eh,
elegir. Me sale ajustes, fondo.
Aha.
des-
The thing is, she says, when I click on the languages there, I doesn't give me a language to hear. You have not done that right. Is that correct, Micaela? Ya,
Mm.
es que todavía no se ha organizado para que lo pueda hacer. Solamente estamos dando la instrucción para que cuando llegue el botón de español, dele allí, haga clic allí y va a poder escucharme a mí y a Yvonne.
Está bien, gracias.
Okay, so that's really good. Thank you. So now she understands that as soon as it happens, she'll hit the Spanish button.
Thank you so much, Julie. Thank you for your patience with us, Adriana.
Gracias por su paciencia con nosotros, Adriana, que ya va a venir el botoncito. Thank you for your patience with us. The button is going to appear.
Okay, it should be in there now. Just doing a test for our Spanish folks over here. Is everyone able to hear okay? Adriana, can you give us a thumbs up if you can hear Julie interpreting for you? Is that a thumbs up? Wonderful. Okay, Adriana, if at any time you're having a difficult time connecting with the interpreter, please don't hesitate to raise your hand and let me know, or to just come off of mute.
Sí lo escucho. No sé por qué razón el enlace no me permite entrar en la tableta, solamente en el teléfono. Por eso es.
Thank you so much, everyone, for your patience as we work through this new technology. I'm so happy to have you here, and we're so honored to have Adriana on our council. I think we're just going to take a little bit to work through all of this. So I'm going to wait until we get another thumbs up from Adriana or Julie to make sure that they're able to access this content. Mm. And I'm in the Spanish. I can. Mm.
Sí, así es. No sé por qué razón. Me pide autenticidad.
Sorry, say that again, Julie. Okay. Mhm. Oh,
Si con ustedes está bien, yo estoy escuchando y viendo bien. No sé ustedes.
okay.
Sí.
Okay, sounds great. I'm going to switch back over into English. Thank you. Okay, wonderful. Thank you all so much for your patience. So what we're doing here is flipping back and forth between an English and Spanish channel. So you all know kind of down at the bottom of your screens, we now have 2 different audio channels operating on Zoom. But it works such that you can only hear the audio for the interpreters if you're in Spanish, and they can only hear me if I'm in Spanish. So I was wanting to make sure that Adriana could hear us all okay. She was having a little bit of difficulty with her phone and her tablet, but it sounds like everything is good so that she can see and hear just fine. So we'll go ahead and proceed with the meeting. Thanks, and please, anyone, if you're having trouble accessing this meeting in any way, to raise a hand if you're on video, or to raise a virtual hand if you're not, and we'll try and get everyone situated. Okay, so we will continue on. Just a couple of ground rules that we have for here at the council. Please remain muted. If you need to say something, please raise your hand either on the video or raise your virtual hand on Zoom, then unmute to speak. Please introduce yourself when you're speaking. Please remember to stay on topic and consider if your points or opinions speak only to benefit for yourself or for the entire Denver community of individuals with IDD. Please remain safe during our meetings. If you need to get in the car and drive somewhere, please be sure to turn off your camera and your audio. Feel free to disconnect from the meeting entirely so that you can pay attention to the road and then join us when you reach your final destination. For all of you voting council members, please be sure to consider the Denver Code of Ethics and consider any potential conflicts of interest that you may have that may require you to recuse yourself or step aside from the meeting if certain topics are raised where you do have a conflict of interest. For those of you who are new to this space, new council members, thank you so much for joining us. We'll provide an overview of that code of ethics and all those considerations later on. Today we're having an informational meeting, so we won't be making any formal recommendations. No need to stress about that too much today. We cannot allow any AI or third-party accounts without approval by DHS. So if you're utilizing any of those, please be sure to turn them off or we will disconnect them for you. Again, and a reminder that all meetings are public and recorded. All chats are posted publicly, so anything that you do put in a chat will be posted on our website. Votes will happen in the chat, so if you are voting, say, to approve the meeting minutes, please make sure that you are changing your chat to everyone, and you can see that here at the bottom. Change in your chat, instead of chatting to hosts and panelists, please make sure you are changing it to everyone. So with that, I'm going to kick it off to our co-chair, Michelle Dumais, to facilitate the rest of the meeting. Thank you so much, Michelle.
Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here in service with all of you today, our new members and our community members and folks that are coming to present today. So thank you so much for your time and your energy to do this. So Michaela, I just have one quick question because I don't know if others are struggling with this, but in the chat, I do not have the ability to change it to everyone. Mine is still saying I can only do hosts and panelists. So I don't know if I've done something wrong. Most likely it's my fault, but I don't have the ability to change it to everyone. Oh, and Molly is in the chat saying the same thing. Oh, and so is Jessica. Thank you so much. Okay, great. Not just me.
Thank you so much for letting me know. Go ahead, Michelle. I'm going to look at our settings to see if I can fix that.
Okay,
and I'll go ahead and take it away.
I'll keep rolling. Okay, so if we can do extremely brief introductions. And in that introduction, if you could include your name, your pronoun, a visual description of yourself, and 15 or so seconds of your experience and your affiliations, that would be awesome. So I'll start off first as an example. I am Michelle Dumais, and my favorite pronoun is me and I and my, but I guess others would say it's she. A visual description of myself. Today, I am wearing the happiest red I could find in my wardrobe. I am a Muslim woman, so that means that I have my head covered in a red scarf. I have on white funky glasses, and I have on a red shirt. My experience is that I raise my daughter's voice, who's a member of the IDD community, in spaces and places that I'm hoping will have impact. I have a couple of affiliations I've been serving. I do not actually know how long. I just recently started serving as the co-chair and love Denver. So I have the pleasure of being on the Commission for Persons with Disabilities and a few other things. So, and as an example, we generally, the person who announces himself generally then chooses the next person. So I'm going to choose a new member, and yes, Alicia, it is you.
Thank you, Michelle. I kind of figured you would do that. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alicia Cooper. I am a light-skinned Black woman with a very low haircut. Today, I am wearing a pale pink sleeveless ballet dress due to my daughter's recital over the weekend. My pronouns are she, but sometimes daughter. My experience affiliations, I am a disabled U.S. Army veteran. I also have family experience, a caregiver experience with my brother with traumatic brain injury. And I also serve the community throughout a myriad of nonprofits affiliations, as well as Denver City County with Denver People with Disability as chair.
And you get to choose the next person, Alicia.
I am so sorry. The next person would be Jessica.
Hi, my name is Jessica Reiko. I am Caucasian female with like brown hair. It's in a bun, and I have a red, I think it's red, top on, and I'm sitting on a couch with the, I think it's a double wedding ring pattern quilt behind me. And I am a member of the IDD community here in Denver. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. And you get to choose.
Yeah. Brian, AAA.
Don't know if Brian has joined us yet.
Okay.
We've got Kisley. We have myself. We've got Molly.
Kisley.
Thanks, Jessica. Hi, everybody. My name is Kisley Blue. I'm the Male Levy Program Manager here at Rocky Mountain Human Services. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a Black woman in my early 40s here at the office, actually. And I am wearing blue today. I have my blue jean jacket on. Thanks, Michelle. Takes a lot of encouragement. And I'm actually a non-voting member. So let's pass it over to, how about Madison?
Hello, everyone. My name is Madison Hakey. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I just cut my hair this weekend. I have very, very curly brown hair that I went a little too short, so it's a little spunky and fun. I am wearing a blue dress. Thank you, Michelle. I am wearing a blue dress with a white sweater today because it's a little chilly in my home. I am here with Rocky Mountain Human Services today. I am a central trainer at Rocky Mountain. Previous experience, I worked in mental health and substance use, and before that, I worked with kiddos. And I will pass it to, let's see, who's here? Jordan.
Thanks, Madison. Hello, everyone. My name is Jordan Mulholland. My pronouns are she, her. I am wearing a white shirt. I have some round glasses on, brown hair, in my late 20s, and blurred background, but I'm here at my cube at DHS. I'm a DHS program administrator, so I am not a voting council member, but I'm here to support the council alongside my IDEAS team, Michaela and Lynn. And I will pass it to Julissa.
Hello, everyone. I have my camera off because I am in my car. My name is Julissa Soto, and I'm the CEO and founder of Julissa Soto Latino Health Equity Consulting. I am wearing all black. I love the black color because it makes me look thinner than what I am. I have full makeup. I'm a beautiful Latina woman with bright red lipstick, black long hair, and very much an extrovert and somebody who loves life. I am here representing for the state of Colorado and also the Denver County community, people with disabilities who are monolingual Spanish speakers. So let me pass it on to did I say everything that I needed to say, guys? Thumbs up, thumbs down, yes,
And
no?
you're a voting member.
Oh, and I'm a voting member. Look at that. I have some power, my friends. So, yes, Alicia. Yes, it sounds like Julissa, Alicia. We have almost the same name, girl. I will pass it on to Adriana de la Torre. Adriana, adelante, tú puedes hablar en español, mija.
Sí, hola, soy Adriana de la Torre y mi pronombre es ella y mi descripción es, soy de tez morena clara, pelo café y pelo largo. Traigo una blusa café y un pantalón beige. Y mi experiencia con IDD es que tengo un hijo con disabilidad intelectual y también soy líder comunitario y estoy muy de cerca con las familias con esta característica de IDD y encantada de estar aquí y me gusta aprender. Gracias.
Thank you so much, Adriana. We're so excited to have you on our council. Would you like to pick the next person to introduce themselves?
Abby?
Hello, everybody. My name is Abby Grinstead. My pronouns are she, her, hers. And I am coming to this meeting today just humbled to be in this space with all of these brilliant, beautiful people. So thank you for volunteering your time. I am the privilege of being a guest speaker. I am with Rocky Mountain Human Services as the Associate Director in our Mill Levy program that we're going to talk about today. And I am coming to you today from my home. It is raining outside. I have a lovely window behind me. I have my hair twisted up in some chopsticks. I'm a white woman in her early 40s that grew up in the rural communities of Colorado. I've been with Rocky Mountain Human Services for 10 years now, working with people with intellectual disabilities and delays. And I also have had the privilege of being the mom of a child with a disability, although he's a young adult now, and he is off into college in Arizona. But that experience has profoundly shaped my life and is the reason that I am here before you all today. And so I'm going to pass this over to Michaela.
Hi, y'all. My name is Michaela Hennig, she, her. I work on the IDEAS team with my amazing colleagues, Jordan and Lynn. I am a white woman with light brown hair that I have pulled up in a braid. I'm sitting in my office here at the Denver Human Services Castro building. I've got a whiteboard behind me and a tapestry right next to that. I'm wearing a blue sweater and a purple sweater and a blue and white shirt. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you so much. And I will go ahead and pass it over to Seth.
Hello, thank you, Michaela. I'm new to the council. My name is Seth. I'm a white male in my 40s wearing a white shirt. My pronouns are he, him, and I work with Advocacy Denver currently. Kaylee Day, she was a previous member who recently left the council, so I'm kind of following in her footsteps. I've been working in the IDD field for 16 years in Denver and Jeffco and up north in Fort Collins. So I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me. And let's see, who do we have left? Miriam?
Yeah, thank you so much. My name is Miriam Alami. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am wearing a white and blue button down and some gold and silver hoop earrings. My hair is black and I have it styled half up, half down, and also wearing some bright lipstick in the shade of pink. I am of mixed race, primarily Latina and Moroccan. I am not a voting member, but I am here as a social worker and the associate director of the Denver START program at Rocky Mountain Human Services. And our goal is to support people with IDD and mental health vulnerabilities in the city and county of Denver that are in crisis. Thank you so much for having me here today. Lynn, I think you are up next. No?
Maybe Molly? I don't know if Molly's gone yet.
Hi, thank you. My name is Molly Mason. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm sorry my camera is not working on this computer. I tried restarting it and starting again and couldn't get it to go. So apologies, but I am a white woman in my 30s with brown hair, and I am a very happy member of the IDEAS Council. I'm so happy to see and meet all of our new members. And I am a special education teacher in Denver Public Schools in the 18 to 21 transition program. And I also have a cousin here in Denver with a TBI. And I'm also one of the liaison for the IDEAS Council with the Rocky Mountain Human Services Community Advisory Council too. So happy to be here with you all, and apologies for not being on camera. Is there anyone else to go next to? Sorry, guys. Tom, or have we made all our introductions who are going to be introduced?
I'm good. I just put something in the chat.
Michelle, I think we got everyone. Am I right?
Yes, I believe so. And those auditors, they're very efficient. So Tom is good man for letting us know that he's going to be off camera and working behind the scenes. Thank you, Tom. So I believe we have some work to do, and we need to approve the meeting minutes, review them, approve them. So in order to do that, I'm gonna need a member to motion to approve them, or if those who attended found that there were some revisions that were needed, if we need to make mention of those revisions, we need to do that first. So I will let others, if they have any revisions, to please raise your hand or come off mute and let us know.
And real quick, Michelle, I'll just rest assured to our 4 new members of the advisory council, when Michelle calls for a vote, you can simply write abstain into the chat, since you weren't present or appointed for the last meeting. So you don't need to worry about voting or making any recommendations on these minutes yet, because you haven't even seen them.
And just to also thank you, Michaela, also to clarify, we're going to be, as she said in the beginning, we're going to be voting by the chat. So, but if there are revisions, I think we need to hear them first, and then we're going to vote. Correct, Michaela? Okay, perfect. So I'm going to ask if there are any revisions. All right, I don't see anybody visually raising their hand nor digitally. So then I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the minutes.
This is Molly. I motion to approve.
Okay, thank you, Molly. Could I please have a second? And thank you, Jessica, for seconding. That's perfect, as only that's the way it could happen. Because everyone else is new. Perfect. So this is the part where we vote in the chat, and if you'll just simply indicate yes or yay. So I believe, Michaela, only 3 of us can vote, and so that means that the yeses and the yays have it, and everyone else is abstaining. So that is absolutely perfect. So I've forgotten the next order of business. Next slide, I think, Michaela.
Thank you so much for keeping me on task, Michelle. Let's see. And I'm keeping track of time, since we have a pretty robust agenda. Michelle, I wanted to see what you would think about perhaps motioning to skip the council member updates for today's meeting, so that we can get on track to RMHS, unless there's anyone that has something that's super urgent they'd like to share quickly.
I support that. If you have something super urgent, raise your hand or let us know, or come off mute. But if not, I would like to, for the sake of our time, because it's quite robust today, I'd like to ask that we skip over the updates. Okay, so just visually looking, I don't see any raised hands. So Michaela, could you assist with the next slide as well? Okay, so now we would also have our community advisory council, so that would be Molly, to share a report out.
Hi, this is Molly, and unfortunately, I had family coming into town at the time of the Rocky Mountain Human Services Advisory Council meeting last week, and I was unable to attend. I'm very sorry.
That's okay, and that's actually perfect. That helps us to keep swimming upstream. And so please, when when you have the time and you come back and connecting with colleagues, let us know if there's something at the next meeting that we need to talk about. And so this is the portion where we normally talk about breathing in uncertainty. Let me just do a quick check to see if Brian came in. Okay, he did not. Okay, so if it's okay, what's on the screen is breathing in uncertainty. And this is where we take time to reflect upon the current affairs mindfully and very intentionally. And so we also, in that intentionality, we say, please keep this time human, but also professional. If there's something you'd like to share, something you're feeling, something that's heavy, something that is causing you to feel a degree of uncertainty. And if there's nothing, then that is also okay as well. We have this as a standing item, and so if you'd like to share something or think about it, the time will come again. So thank you so much. We can keep swimming upstream. This is Michelle again, and Michaela, could you support me again by the next slide? And so, Michaela, will you be doing the introduction for this one?
I'd be happy to. Thank you so much, Michelle. So I would love to introduce our partners at Rocky Mountain Human Services. They had an opportunity to introduce themselves earlier, Madison, Abby, and Miriam, and I will go ahead and give the floor to you all.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. This is Madison speaking again. I will be kicking us off with our presentation today. Thank you so much for having us. We're also excited to be here. So if you will hop to the next slide, I'll kind of give an overview of what we're going to talk about and then jump in. Thank you. All right, so I will start us off with discussing the IDD, or Intellectual Developmental Delay and Disability process, and requirements. Then I will hand it off to my wonderful colleagues who will kick it off with IDD programs and a mill levy access, as well as talking about START. All right. Wonderful. So we at Rocky Mountain Human Services complete two different types of determinations, which are differentiated by age. 0 to 5, or birth to 5, is going to be considered a delay, whereas once that member hits 5, they do need a disability determination. What's really great about these is they are applicable all over Colorado. So as long as that member hangs out in Colorado and does not move to another state, that disability determination stays with them. Okay, it's good across the entire state of Colorado. This is the first step when a member is interested in the listed program. So early intervention, Denver Early Steps, Family Support Services Program, as well as some of our waivers. So we have our Children's Extensive Services, or CES. We also have our CHIRP waiver, which is the Children's Habilitation Residential Program. We then have our 2 adult waivers, the Supported Living Services waiver, as well as the Developmental Delay waiver, and our mill levy program, which we will talk a little bit about as well. Next slide, please. This slide is a really helpful diagram of the process that one would have to go through in order to get that determination. Okay, so the first step would be to request that disability or delay determination. We then would require documentation for that determination within 90 days. Okay, so about 3 months. If that member and their family is waiting on documentation, they can apply for a 90-day extension, giving them another 3 months to get us that documentation that we need. And then we have 30 days to complete that determination. So no determination should exceed 180 days, or about 6 months. Slide, please. Thank you. We do need some documentation in order to do a determination. So the first step is that signed request for a determination application. We then need documentation of a neurological condition which manifested before the age of 22. And then we need either or. We need either a full-scale IQ testing from the last 10 years or an adaptive composite testing from the last 3 years. Okay? And that's going to be for our determination of a disability. For our kiddos, 0 to 5 or birth to 5, to do a delay, it looks a little bit different, right? Our kiddos might have some different documentation. So we can have IEPs from schools. We can accept early intervention reports, medical documentation, neuropsych testing as well. And it's important to note here that this determination is different than the Social Security determination of a disability. Okay, these are two different types of determinations that we would need documentation for. Okay. Next slide, please. All right. So when we are talking about intellectual and cognitive functioning, what we're seeing here is not an exhaustive list, of course, but our members who have a disability determination might experience some of the things that we have listed on this slide. So if a member has a disability or a delay, they might experience things like difficulty with learning or difficulty with logic, problem solving, those types of things. And as we saw in the previous slide, all of our members, in order to be determined to have a disability, do have to have an IQ score or that adaptive composite score of less than 70. So again, not an exhaustive list, but just some things that our members might be experiencing. Next slide. Thank you. All right, so when we are discussing adaptive functioning, this refers to a person's ability to effectively manage their daily living tasks and their social interactions. And so we can break this down into 3 different spaces or categories. Okay? When we're talking about conceptual, this would refer to someone's cognitive skills and knowledge acquisition. So language, reading, writing, memory. Okay. Our second category would be social. So that's more interpersonal skills. Are they able to maintain meaningful relationships? So this would refer to empathy, the ability to make and keep friends, how they communicate with others. And then finally, we have practical, which refers to someone's ability to complete everyday living tasks. Okay, so how to manage a job, how to manage their money, their household, how to organize different tasks, those kinds of practical tasks that we do every single day. Next slide, please. Thank you, thank you. This is a really helpful diagram for our children's programs that we manage at Rocky Mountain Human Services. On the left, we have our Rocky Mountain Human Services programs that would require that IDD or intellectual or developmental disability determination. On the right, we have long-term care, which would not require that intellectual or developmental disability determination. Next slide. Similarly, here we have another helpful diagram, which is going to separate kind of our 2 different sides at Rocky Mountain Human Services. We have adults that have the disability determination on the left here. Those are the programs that they will have access to. And then on the right, we call it this single entry point for the long-term care for adults. Okay, so again, on the right, these would be programs that do not require the intellectual or developmental disability determination. And next slide. Wonderful. On this slide, we have a waiver comparison. So we're first looking at our SLS waiver here, which is our Supported Living Services waiver. This is going to be an adult waiver program for adults who are able to live more independently within the community, and they do have a disability determination. Okay, so we see a lot of services on here that benefit our members with IDD. Some really popular, fantastic services would include mentorship, respite as well, day habilitation, and different professional services as well. So definitely one of our more popular services that we work with on the SLS waiver. Next slide. And then our second adult waiver on the IDD side is going to be our DD waiver, or our developmental disabilities waiver. What's wonderful about the DD waiver is we have residential supports on this waiver. Residential supports are going to help members with their daily tasks. So members who are on the DD waiver, while this list looks a lot shorter than our SLS waiver list did, residential is going to take care of a lot of great services for our members on the DD waiver. So things like personal care, helping a member with homemaking, cleaning the home, all of that would be provided through those residential supports. It's also important to note that the DD waiver, the developmental disability waiver, is the only waiver we have that does have a wait list, and it's pretty long. We're looking at a wait list of about 10 years or maybe more. The reason being, it's a very expensive waiver to support, and so we can only have so many individuals on this waiver at a specific time. Next slide. All right, I am going to hand it over to Abby to take on Mill-Levy. Thank you.
Thanks, Madison. For those of you in this council, you've heard the word mill-levy, but some of you might be like, what in the world is mill-levy? Right? From the words, you may not even know exactly what does this program mean, what is available to people. And so that's some of the information that I want to be able to quickly capture for you today. Mill-levy is a program that was really born by the desire of our Denver taxpayers, all of you, to be able to do more for people that have an intellectual disability or delay, to be able to live here in Denver, to live life out loud, to be able to celebrate each person where they are, and be able to be fully inclusive in our community and in our city. And so Mill-Levy, we contract with Denver Human Services, with DHS, and we are in such strong partnership and collaboration to be able to expend these local dollars into all the places and spaces of a person's life where it's needed most. And so we're going to talk about that today. It's one of these where we are taking these dollars to meet individualized needs where they are, to be able to help that person to create the future that they want and the now that they can't wait for. And so I like to think about Mill-Levy program as not a menu of things that you get when you're in a program. Madison did such a beautiful job of quickly capturing, what's available in the supported living services waiver and what's available in our disability, DD waiver and our children's waivers. Those all have lists and they're great. Mill-Levy is really working at the edges of those lists and at the lines to really be able to make that difference in a person's life, being able to meet the need that's not met by that program or by another resource. I like to think about Mill-Levy really kind of reaching our arms around a person, the person at the center of their care, letting us know what is going to be the most impactful and meaningful in their life to meet the need that's not met by another resource. And so I like to think about Mill-Levy as really this beautiful liquid that flows into all the places and spaces of a person's life to make them whole. So we're going to talk a little bit about what that looks like. Can we go to the next slide, please? Mill-Levy is available for all eligible residents here in Denver City and County. And so you might be wondering, okay, so you're talking about Mill-Levy and we're going to meet all these wonderful individualized needs right where they're at. We're going to encompass people and let people share out what's impactful to them. And you're saying there's not really kind of these lists of things that are available, but really just focusing on what those needs are. But how do I become eligible for this? How do I access this program? So to be eligible for Mill-Levy, it's very simple. It's very straightforward. You need to have been determined to have an intellectual disability or delay, as Madison talked about. And so Mill-Levy, we're supporting people from birth through life in this program, through all the seasons of their life. And so for anybody under the age of 5, if you have a delay in one area of development or more, and you're eligible for that programming, then you're also eligible to be able to access Mill-Levy as one of our eligibility components, as long as you also live here in Denver City and County. If anybody over age 5, then you would have to go through that disability determination process that Madison talked about. And that's where that different paperwork comes into play, and being able to go ahead, and we have a committee that's taking a look at this disability determination, because we recognize this is a big process in somebody's life and that this is a lifelong determination. And so in order to be eligible for mill levy, you have to be either seeking that eligibility or have already been determined, and to live here in Denver City and County. Michaela, if you want to go to the next slide. This content we kind of split between 2 slides. And so that is the eligibility. You don't have to be in services with Rocky Mountain Human Services. You can be receiving case management services through another agency, as long as you live here in Denver City and County and you have an intellectual disability or delay. Now, what happens if you consider Denver your home, but maybe you're couch surfing at this moment in life, or maybe you don't have a home? If you're experiencing homelessness, but you consider Denver your home and you present here, then we can count that. What happens if you don't know if you have an intellectual disability? What happens if I don't know if my delay is going to be a lifelong disability? But if you're seeking that, those long-term services and supports, then mill levy is here. And that's it. That's as simple as it is. And so access is available for all eligible people here in Denver. We want to be able to get mill levy into all the places and spaces of Denver. And that's partly why we're here, meeting with all of you to be able to further expand our reach into our community. We want to be able to support people in living their best life, whether you have a paid provider, whether you have a loved one that can advocate and lift up your voice, whether you have a teacher, whether you have a doctor. We want to be able to get into all the places and spaces across all of Denver where we know there are resource deserts, like Green Valley Ranch, for example. Can we go to the next slide? So mill levy program. We really want to be able to take this word of these taxpayer dollars, and Rocky Mountain has really come along and breathed new life into what was a funding stream. And we have developed this robust program where we keep access as simple as we can through 3 primary points. Through individual requests, which are just that, to be able to meet somebody's needs right where they're at when another program or resource isn't able to meet that need. And that can vary from, something as $5 all the way up to tens of thousands of dollars if it's a home modification that isn't met. We are really letting the person direct their care. We're really taking a look at what are those social determinants of health? What are those health outcomes to be able to help support that person in living their best life? There's a lot of great resources out there that are supporting us with our medical needs and our health and safety needs, and that's fabulous. But somebody that's healthy and safe, but miserable because they aren't living the life they want, they don't have those social interactions, they're not out in their community of choice, they're not being able to engage with different activities they might want to explore, and job opportunities, career exploration, hobbies. There's not resources for those. And that's where mill levy comes in. We want to support somebody in being healthy, safe, and happy, and being able to find that balance. Because healthy, safe, and miserable, that's not a life that anybody wants to live. And so we're able to direct these dollars out to people in the ways that it's going to be the most meaningful and impactful. And over time, we know that that is increasing those health outcomes and that longevity of somebody's life. We're also able to support with mill levy support plans. So Madison did a great job of sharing supported living services and DD waiver services. And so homemaker, right? Or personal care, behavior services. But what happens if what I qualify for on a waiver, right? We go through a whole process and we're doing an assessment and we're doing an evaluation, and that's all fabulous. But what happens if I, as a person, I need 10 hours of behavior services? But all these assessments come back and say, you only qualify for 8. My need isn't met. And that's the intersection of mill levy. Mill levy comes in to fully meet that need and wrap around those supports with a mill levy support plan. So you're going to have your waiver plan, then you're going to have your mill levy support plan operating in tandem to truly meet that person's need. The same with day program. That's an opportunity for people to get out and about in our community and be in connection with others. And waiver services says, yeah, that's great. We believe in that, but 4 days a week. I don't know about you all, but I know that myself and many others, we love to be out in our community more often than 4 days a week. And so our mill levy support plan is able to come in and cover that 5th day of day program. So I can be around my community and my peers of choice for that full week of programming. And then another main access point, and we have Kisley here, and Kisley can certainly jump in and feel free to elaborate, but we do community partnerships. Michaela shared this. We share this. We have this vision. Denver taxpayers share this. We have this vision of Denver being the most beautiful place to truly live and thrive for all people. I want to let that soak in, because our community partnerships are doing this every single day. We are partnering with local businesses to be able to expand their programming options and to be able to increase provider options for people that are able to fully meet that need. Right? It's fantastic that our waivers are supporting people with job exploration, but what happens if the career and the job that I want isn't included in that job coaching? That's where mill levy partnerships are coming in. If I'm an artist and I am so passionate about my artwork and I want to have that be my career of choice, we have a partnership with a local gallery here that's supporting people, pairing them with mentor to be able to have their art be what is economically advantage for them, to have that be their career of choice. And so those are our 3 primary access points to our mill levy program to be able to meet those unique needs right where they're at. Next slide. And I want to leave you with this thought of this kind of water, this liquid that's flowing in around all places. Madison shared that there's programming that's supporting people from birth all through life, and so does mill levy. As long as you're eligible for mill levy, have the intellectual disability or delay, live here in Denver City and County, then we are here for all those transitions of life, those intersections between programming, and wrapping around those programs to fully meet the need. Next slide. And now I'm going to pass it over to Miriam.
Thanks so much, Abby. Thank you all for having me here today. Do you want me to pause, Michaela?
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I don't mean to cut in, Miriam. And thank you so much, Madison and Abby, for that amazing overview of a lot of very complex information. That was artfully done. I wanted to just check in with Michelle and the rest of the team. We're at 2 o'clock, which is where we usually take a break, and just see if you all wanted to keep powering through for Miriam's presentation on Denver Start, or if you wanted to take 5 and then come back to Miriam. I'll kick it off to you, Michelle, to facilitate that decision.
By facilitate, does that mean I decide or do I ask people?
Up to you.
Just to be clear.
Up to you.
Before I answer then, Miriam, could you give me an idea of how much time you are going to be talking with us about the START program?
Yes, it'll be about 10 minutes.
So, Michaela, if we let her do her 10 minutes, then that would put us almost squarely on time for our break. So I think what I'd like to do is, if my fellow members are okay with holding firm for 10 minutes, and then we can have our break, I'd like to sort of stay on our agenda. What say you, members new and old?
I'm okay with staying on.
Okay. Molly, how are you feeling, friend?
Oh yeah, I'm good. Sounds good
Okay.
to stay
All
on.
right, then we just need one more. Jessica? Okay, then I'll ask Seth. Seth, are you okay with staying on?
Yes.
Okay, well then that'll take the majority of us, and Miriam, if you wouldn't mind, we'd love to let you finish and then take a break.
Okay, That sounds good. Thank you. Okay, so my name is Miriam Alami. As I mentioned earlier, I am the Associate Director of the START program at Rocky Mountain Human Services. So I will give an overview of what the START model is, what the anticipated benefits are, and then I will conclude with some of our programmatic data. If we could go to the next slide. Thank you. So what is START? START stands for Systemic Therapeutic Assessment, Resources, and Treatment. START was developed in 1988 at the University of New Hampshire by Dr. Joan Beasley, and it's newer to Denver. So we have been seeing clients here in the city and county of Denver for about 3 years, and within that time, I'm really happy to announce that we were nationally certified in January of this year, which demonstrates that we can operate to the expectations of the national model. So why was START developed? It was developed to address the needs of people who have intellectual and developmental disabilities within the mental health population. And research shows that at least 1/3 of people with IDD and mental health needs need some sort of specialized support. So that's exactly where START can position themselves. We are a crisis intervention and prevention model servicing people here in Denver starting at age 6 all the way through the lifespan who have IDD needs and are in crisis. And that crisis can look different depending on the person. It might mean that they have experienced harm, that their caregiver is at risk of burnout, that the person is at risk of losing their home placement. It might be that they're going in and out of the hospital. And START's focus is to really utilize the biopsychosocial approach while also using positive psychology in a 24/7 crisis prevention and prevention model. So we do offer in-person 24 support people that are enrolled in our program. START is evidence informed, which means the full decision based off of research for people with IDD and mental health through the assessments and the tools that we utilize. And we also use national data from the National Center for START Services to make the best informed decision for it. We use a biopsychosocial approach, which emphasizes the integration of the person. So we are considering the person's medical diagnosis, their mental health diagnosis, and social factors that will influence the person as we formulate a clinical conceptualization of what has led this person into crisis, and then how do we support them into a road of stability. We use the person's IDD and mental health vulnerability to also talk about that person's strength, to ultimately promote autonomy and independence. And when we talk about promoting positive outcomes and experiences, we do this by really exploring the person's meaning, accomplishment, the relationships that they want to strengthen or achieve, and by offering 24/7 crisis prevention and intervention support to reduce emergency service utilization, such as unnecessary hospitalization, police interaction, state hospital stays when not necessary. We also offer capacity building opportunities to the Denver community, and that might come in form of specialized training. We've done trainings on what autism looks like throughout the lifespan, or what it might look like depending on the person's mental health diagnosis. So what does it look like for somebody who has autism, anxiety disorder, etc.? And we also have standing monthly meetings called clinical education team trainings, and that is led by our clinical director, our medical director, where we de-identify a case that we're working on, and then we learn together as we talk through a didactic. And so an example of that is a training that our team led on what trauma and IDD looks like. Next slide, please. Thank you. So what are the anticipated benefits from the START program? Ultimately, we want to reduce unnecessary emergency service usage for the people that we support. And we can do that by providing that 24/7 in-person crisis response to make sure that the person, if possible, can remain within their home instead of going to the hospital. Or engaging in police contact, although our team will engage those emergency services if that is what is clinically appropriate. We want to increase community engagement around the IDD and mental health population in Denver by completing trainings. In fact, we're hosting a one-day conference on Thursday with our partners at National Center for START Services to talk exactly about that. How do we collaborate as systems to come up with solutions for the IDD and mental health space? We know that we are a systemic model, and the way that we are able to work together is to develop really strong linkage agreements and partnerships, all in the name to make sure that people are engaged within the IDD and mental health space, to make sure that our roles and responsibilities, it's a good question. I will come back to that. To make sure that people are engaged in the community around mental health and IDD. And probably one of our most important anticipated goals is to make sure that we are servicing the people that are referred to us at Denver STAR and their support system. And we're able to measure overall health rates and satisfaction and their well-being through some of the assessments and the tools that START utilizes to make sure that folks with IDD and mental health needs are connected to providers that are accessible to them, that are appropriate to them, and that truly understand some of the complexity behind some of their vulnerabilities. Before I move on to our last slide, I certainly want to plug that START is accepting referrals. So if you can visit our website at rockymountainhumanservices.org/START, you can see some more information around how to submit a referral. But just a reminder, we do require that folks have an IDD diagnosis and that they have some sort of mental health needs that may lead to a crisis. Okay, and my last slide, please. Thank you. So this is some data that we've measured since we started servicing clients 3 years ago. So far, we have serviced 213 clients, and out of those 213 people, 35 have exited our program, which is a really that folks have reached stability and no longer need intensive services. So it's really proud of. And in fact, national data shows that people stay enrolled in a START program from 12 months to 18 months. So the fact that we have been able to promote stability for 35 families within being in operation for 3 years is something that our team should really be proud of. Out of the 213 people that we've served, 145 people identify color, and we support people speaking various different languages, including Spanish, Arabic, American Sign Language, Russian, and Farsi. We have developed 28 linkages, so that means 28 real partnerships with other programs that we can really work together and collaborate on some of the presenting problems that we're seeing in the IDD and mental health space, and again, come up with solutions together. We have facilitated 72 community trainings, again, really tailored to the community needs around IDD and mental health. And we have responded to 455 crisis calls. 409 of those crisis calls have resulted to the person remaining in their community setting and not needed unnecessary emergency service utilization. So I think these data slides certainly capture some of the work that we're doing on the ground to support the IDD and mental health community. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you so much.
So, Miriam, thank you so much. And Michaela, at this time, if we have any questions what I'd like to ask is this, and let me get to where I can see Michaela. In terms of our time, we actually are at the part where we would have a break. We're just a little bit behind in terms of time, but after the break, we have the presentation from RHMS continuing. Should we hold and can we hold our questions till then? If we have any burning questions, I'd love to see them go up in the chat so that you don't forget them. And Halisa, I hope you see Miriam responded and put her contact information into the chat. And then also Miriam, we see Molly asking a question as well. So if you can keep checking the chat. What I'd like to say is, could we have our break? As I like to be a woman of my word, have our break and then come back and we can take our break for just 5 minutes. If we begin counting at 2:15, which is in a few seconds, and then we're all back here at 2:20. And in the meantime, throw your questions into the chat, and then we will address them if they are not already being addressed in the chat, if that's okay.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you so
Okay,
much, Michelle.
let's do it. Okay. It is that time. So let's keep rocking and rolling. So, what I'd like to do, the easiest thing for my brain, is to go back to the chat and address the questions that are there. And then I'll ask for persons who are responsible for really good answers. But if you want me to make up any answers, I can do that too. But to sort of address them, and then we'll just continue to make sure that there are no other questions. So let me go back really quick. Lisa was asking, can we be a part of that conference, Miriam?
Yes, she emailed me, so I will respond to her directly. Thank you.
Perfect. And thank you, Michaela, for putting the Denver Start information in the chat. Molly asked, who to reach out to regarding setting up trainings provided by START. Miriam, I don't know if you have answered that while I was away.
Yep, I answered that one as well.
Perfect. Okay, Alicia's asking, what are the impediments that keeps the waivers on a 10-year waiting? Girl, that is a question for the ages. But let's see, who would like to jump in? Because I do have a made-up answer for it, just in case.
Michelle, I can speak to that. This is Madison. And I saw Abby, you hopped off mute too. So if you want to add in as well. The only waiver that has a wait list at the moment is that DD waiver, the developmental disabilities waiver. The reason that there is a wait list is because it is our most expensive waiver, meaning that the state can only fund a certain amount of people on the waiver at a particular time. What we do in the interim, we don't just leave people and say, sorry, you have to sit on a wait list. That is where mill levy comes in sometimes. That is where our other waivers come in as well. Members can be on another waiver receiving services while sitting on the wait list for the DD waiver as well.
Thanks, Madison. That's exactly what I was going to share. And I wanted to share just a little bit of information too, is that people go on this wait list when at the age of 14. And so there is a process. So when somebody's in family support programming, that's a program that goes from 3 to 5. And then at age 5, if continue to have, rather than a delay, but a disability that's going to be lifelong, then they go into our family support program. And that goes all the way to age 18. So imagine having this incredible program that's going to support you through your child's school years and through those different transitions of life as they're growing into adulthood. And at age 14, somebody's placed on that wait list. And as Madison said, that's the great thing about mill levy and having these local taxpayer dollars that we can expend out to people, is that we can support people where they might need additional support from that supported living services waiver. Mill levy can come in with that mill levy support plan and be able to run in tandem and meet those needs where they're at.
Thank you. I have so many thinky thoughts about that. It's just, and it sounds a little bit better when you say, okay, they're on that list starting around 14, just a little bit. But I can also see, if I don't know, I'm 17 years of age and now I'm on my own, how that 7-year stretch, even with all the additional help that you all and services that you all try to bridge that gap with, how that still could be challenging for them. But I thank you. I'm always curious about things. When I hear my ears, I had a moment. I'm sorry. This is Alicia. I just had a moment and I just needed to know a little bit more so that I could calm my brain cells down for a second.
Absolutely. Thanks, Alicia. One more thing to share, I think that's important, is that the goal behind all of our services, from early intervention when you have a delay, is to get the right targeted supports and services in place to get kiddos caught up in that area or areas of delay. So that way, by the time they go to preschool at age 3, they're caught up with their same age peers, right? And we know that people come into services at different times. So that programming then in family support continues from 3 to 5. The same approach, right? We're trying to get those right services so that way every child is able to reach their full potential. And so with those targeted services as early as we can, that way by the time they're ready to go to kindergarten, they're ready to go with their same age peers. But we also recognize that having a child born with a disability, there might be some medical diagnosis that come along with that. And so we might know that this is going to be supports and services for their life that they're going to need. And so that's why at age 5, we go through this process. But the goal then of family support is to continue with those right targeted supports and services. We want people to be as independent as possible and self-sufficient as possible. And so this DD waiver is fantastic and it's very much needed. And we also recognize that sometimes that supported living services, that we're working towards gaining as much independence as possible. But at the same time, we have children's waivers. So CES waiver, for example, Children's with Extensive Services waiver. We recognize that these are children that have a lot of needs and maybe at risk of out-of-home placement. So if your child is on that waiver, and there's a process for that, just like everything, there's an application. But if your child is on that waiver, they then automatically go into that DD waiver. And so there are some inroads that are a little bit faster for those that we recognize need that level of support, such as that CES waiver straight into DD waiver, that exists. We recognize that if somebody is experiencing homelessness along with some other factors, that we can do what's called an emergency DD waiver application and be able to get somebody bumped up into that waitlist space, into that emergency DD waiver placement a lot sooner. So there are some avenues where we can work towards getting somebody into those much needed services faster and sooner.
Thank you so much.
It's not great, right? Like I recognize, like I'll be real too, it's hard. It's so hard for us, and so we're pulling and being able to resource as much as we can to support people where they're at. And it's also hard that we do have a wait list here in the state of Colorado.
And just one more thing, and I know we're on time, Michelle. I just want to do a quick comparison, and I know that we're talking about, the wait list and all, but I want to also commend you all for doing what you're doing. Because when I think about, things that are in other states, and especially like I transported from North Carolina, this doesn't exist. So when we're thinking about, assisting people in this capacity, there are challenges here that, if I wanted to fry fish, this will be the fish to fry type of deal, where there isn't these type of services don't exist in certain states. So while I know we do have some challenges the Rosa has, I do want to celebrate you and commend you for doing the work that you're doing. And I know there's still a lot that we could be doing, but just to let you know, like, don't be too hard on yourself because we're still doing the work, and you're far way ahead of most places that that haven't started anything or haven't even taken anything into consideration.
And this is Michelle, and by certain states, I'm just going to piggyback off of you, Alicia, and say, 49, plus or minus 49. Truly what Colorado and truly what Denver does is transformative, and it's the only city and county in the entire country that does it. So plus or minus 49. Looking at our time, 1 second. Technically, if we don't have any other questions, Michaela, I think we're actually on time, as that would be the end of the RMHS questions. So I think we're in a good space, a good place, at a good pace.
Absolutely. And the next agenda item was for public comment. We always hold 20 minutes of our 2 hours for public comment in case we have members of the public that sign up in advance to provide that 3 minutes of whatever is on their mind. We did not have anyone sign up for this meeting. So we have an extra 20 minutes. And Michelle, I will defer to you on how you would like to allocate that time. If you would like to extend time for questions a bit, or if you'd like to move into scheduling for our upcoming meetings.
After I see Abby's raised hand, I'd like to go into a 20-minute soliloquy. So yes, Abby, go ahead so I can start my soliloquy.
Well, Michelle, how did you know it's what I wanted to do?
Okay, then I'll share the time. I will
I'll
give you 19 minutes, and I'll take 1 minute for soliloquy.
Oh, no, I'll reverse that. No. No, lastly, I wanted to just impress upon everybody here, for yourselves and as you share this word out, for us, we want to make sure that every person has the supports and services that they need. And so Rocky Mountain Human Services, we have a lot of different waivers and programs, services and supports that you don't have to be experts on, but just know that we're here. Know that we've been in our community for over 30 years. And so we approach our work with a no wrong door. So you don't have to know exactly which programming and what services are available and be the expert in that. That's what we're here for. And so if you are yourself, anybody that you interact with, if there's any concerns about somebody's a child's development or how they're growing and learning, how they're interacting with the world, or how somebody as an adult is, if you feel that those supports and services would be beneficial, please refer them to us. Please go to our website. Anybody can refer anybody. And if somebody's needing support with that, we have those built-in supports that are also funded from Mill Levy program. We have school and community liaisons that are incredible. Julianne and Ray are incredible humans that are meeting families across all of our Denver public schools to help get them connected into long-term services and supports. So just as one quick example, and thank you, Madison, for putting that in the chat. Okay, that was my 2 minutes. Thanks, Michelle.
That wasn't really a soliloquy, so we're not going to really count that. But it was a very good effort, Abby, and but seriously, I think that, you know, the overarching message that I'm hoping that we're all able to share out, just to uh, repeat it, is that RMHS, Rocky Mountain Human Services, is very supportive of community, and so if people need help, you know, let's just let them know that they can get in where they can fit in, and that there are a lot of paths to a very big door for support, and that this committee is really about supporting people, you know, driving the mission, sharing the vision of what does this community need, and then Rocky is the implementation partner of, you know, fulfilling those needs. And so please let that be the message that you share out with people. So being, Michaela, that we don't have public comment, can we go to planning the next meeting, as that's our next agenda topic? I think all the questions have been addressed. I'm trying to look in the chat, but I think all the questions have been addressed. So I'd like to go on to the next item, which is planning for the next meeting.
Absolutely. And I wanted to just check in real quick with Molly and Jessica, since you had requested these presentations on the IDD determination process and the different waivers available to folks with IDD in Denver, just to make sure that there were any additional questions you had, since you were the ones that initially proposed these presentations as agenda items.
Yeah, thank you. This is Molly. Thank you, Kisley and Abby, and Miriam is great. Thank you so much for the presentations. I'm wondering if the slides that you guys shared, if they're available to be like shared, something that we can share both with families that I work with and just the larger community as a whole, because I know the website pretty well, and it's still, it can be helpful just to have like one, okay, here's the slide, here's how the IDD process goes, here's how this goes, and can be really helpful just with, again, spreading the word and getting as much good information out there as possible, because you guys have a lot of really good information. So thank you. Oh, and I guess just one actual question that I had to just that came up during the presentation. I think when it was going over the, I think it was Madison who's presenting on the IDD process. It is when they're 18 years of age or older and they are getting an IQ score, it needs to be within 3 years. Is that correct? But if they're younger than 18, then it can be a 10-year one. That was like on the slide, and I raised my hand during there. I was going to put in, but I just wanted to ask that too.
Yes.
Madison, I'm hearing you. Yep. Okay.
Yep,
Cool.
you are correct.
It's
Yep.
within 3 years if they're over the age of 18. Great. And then, yes, Abby, thank you. I work with Julianne frequently. We are work best friends. So I talk with her frequently. And it's really just the system makes it really complicated and connecting with everybody. So, but I appreciate you. And I can connect with Kisley as well. But yeah, Julianne is wonderful. And see her weekly. So thank you.
And Molly, we'll be posting these slides and a recording of today's meeting on the IDEAS website. So I'll make sure to send you a direct link to where that is if you'd like to pull it. And it looks like Abby put Kisley's email in the chat. So we have the translated versions that we have modified a little bit with formatting to make sure we could get English and Spanish. I think probably Abby or Kisley could get you the English versions that have maybe just a little bit different formatting or photos if you want that. But I'll let you reach out to her directly, and then anyone can access these slides as soon as we get them up, hopefully within the next week.
This is Molly. Thank you so much, Michaela. Yeah, and the English Spanish is perfect for me. That's great. So thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And Michelle, I'm wondering if I might request just a couple minutes to provide kind of an overview of how the IDEAS program relates to Rocky Mountain Human Services and then other community partners that we have. Because I realized I neglected to do that at the beginning.
Is that supposed to take away from my soliloquy time?
I wouldn't dare.
Okay, go ahead. Yes, please.
Okay. I apologize to our new members. Typically, we kind of provide an overview of this during the orientation, which we haven't had an opportunity to have yet. But it might be helpful, even for some more of our veteran members here, to just kind of zoom out a little bit to figure out how we all interrelate. So the IDEAS program is a program of now 3 program individuals. So me and Jordan and Lynn, you can call us the 3 Musketeers if you like, or the trifecta, either one. And so we work for the city, and we are the stewards of this tax fund called the Denver Developmental Disability Mill Levy Fund. And that is a property tax, and the sole purpose is to help provide benefit to individuals in Denver with developmental delay and IDD. So it can't be used for any other purpose besides for Denver residents with developmental delay and IDD. For a long time, it was managed by Denver Human Services, and the only community agency that was receiving those funds and putting them out to community benefit was Rocky Mountain Human Services. Way back, it was Denver Options. And they were acting in their capacity as a community-centered board, and which they retain now in addition to a case management agency. And so all that means is the state has identified Rocky Mountain Human Services as the agency for Denver that is providing access to long-term services and supports for folks that need waiver services through Medicaid to help them live within the community, whereas they might otherwise have to be in a nursing home or another type of institution. So they have the waivers that Madison just talked to you about, specific for folks with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And then they also manage waivers for folks with other types of disabilities that require long-term support. So for folks with brain injuries or folks that have significant mental health needs, there's a variety of them. In 2017, so about 8 years ago, there was a change in Denver ordinance that said we could, would continue to provide funding to Rocky Mountain Human Services, this mill levy funding, but we could also contract with other agencies to help provide benefit to Denver residents with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And so while most of our money most of this tax fund that Lynn and Jordan and I manage still goes to Rocky Mountain Human Services because they built out this very comprehensive programming that Abby just shared about to kind of help fill in the gaps from these state and federally funded waiver services. We also contract out with some other community partners to provide services like housing navigation or assistance with accessing technology and digital literacy. Our Voices Mini Grants program, which we've been telling you about, where we are providing small grants to community agencies. And actually, START was a competitive solicitation, which is just to say, instead of it wasn't part of our initial contract with Rocky Mountain Human Services. You all, the advisory council, and this was years ago, said, hey, we need better mental health services for our community. What can you do about that? And so we heard you, we heard the advisory council, and we said, okay, well, we're going to do what's called a solicitation or request for proposals and see what agencies would, could provide a proposal to offer those mental health services through the START model. And we had several agencies apply, including Rocky Mountain Human Services, and actually ended up awarding that to Rocky Mountain Human Services. So that was outside of our larger contract with Rocky Mountain Human Services. And why I asked Michelle to take some time to explain this all to you is just to kind of help you understand how all this fits together and then how we will be requesting your input and your expertise on this council. And that is to kind of understand all these amazing things that Rocky Mountain Human Services is doing with the mill levy, and then telling us how else we can be using these funds outside of Rocky Mountain Human Services, and providing input on the different programs that we're funding. We should note too that Rocky Mountain Human Services has their own community advisory council, on which both Michelle and Molly sit, that provides community input on how Rocky Mountain Human Services is managing the mill levy money that the IDEAS program gives them. So we won't be seeking your feedback as much directly on these programs, although we are open to hear any thoughts you may have. We may be talking more about these other programs that we're funding outside of Rocky Mountain Human Services and soliciting your input on how we can best structure those to meet the needs of the community based on your expertise and experience. So any questions on that and how kind of all these pieces fit together? Okay, thank you, Michelle. You may commence your soliloquy after I finished mine.
Thank you so much, Michaela. This is Michelle. So with that being said, our last agenda item is essentially, hey, what do we want to talk about the next meetings? Are there any topics that, just like Jessica and Molly brought up, hey, we need some clarification on these issues. Can we have someone talk to us about them? So are there topics that members new and old would like? And I see Miss Soto, please.
Yes, I would like to see topics on. I understand that it was a lot of information right now. The new ones probably we're all trying to digest all the information that was coming our way.
Yeah.
But I would like to know exactly the challenges that my community is facing, and when they speak to me, when I say my community is the Spanish speaking community, and those with disabilities, what they said to me is that they just don't understand the waivers. They also don't understand how, for example, if you have somebody with a disability at home, how can they apply to become their caregiver, the caregiver of whomever who has a disability at home, and they still don't understand. They still don't understand how that works, how that operates, um, and if they come from mixed status families, for example, mom and dad are undocumented, but the child who has a disability is a U.S. citizen, and the fear of the parents approaching us because of their status, especially around this time that we're facing massive deportations, and how we're under attack, especially the immigrant, Latino community. I would like to understand a little bit more how these programs work and operate so I can start thinking, Michelle, in which way I can help be that culture broker that is gonna transcreate whatever I'm learning here to the community.
So, thank you, Elisa.
You're welcome, Michelle.
Michaela, how can we encapsulate that for an agenda item purpose?
You know, I would need to do, I think that's an amazing topic, Lisa, and thank you so much for raising that. I would need to do some work to figure out who best to reach out to provide that information.
Okay.
Likely that we may be inviting some of our friends at Rocky Mountain Human Services back if they have availability, in addition to one of their community partners.
Yeah,
So
because
Abby,
let
oh,
me
I'm
tell
sorry,
you
go ahead.
let me tell you something, Micaela. If you say let's invite Grupo Vida, no, mi niña. We have more nonprofit agencies that they focus on these communities more than Grupo Vida, right? And because of the reputation, yes, some people love them, but some people don't trust them. I just want to hear different perspective from somebody else, right? But not Grupo Vida, not the same old gig that has been out there in existence for my community, because this is what happened, Micaela. And that's how you pronounce your name, Micaela? Oh, okay. I just don't want to murder nobody's name in here. So, you know, thank you, Michelle. Um, I had the experience of, especially in the Latino community, there is a huge community, but also the community with disability is a very small one. They all know each other. And I just want to give them other options and other services, because it seems that a lot of the times those families know each other and they just don't want to reach out to the same groups, because then their privacy gets shared, because let's admit, we come from a Latino culture, we all talk with each other, we all know each other. So I am here to provide new resources for those communities with disability and in need, right? So I'm just trying to figure out who, bring somebody from Rocky Mountain, and somebody who understands the Latino community, but the same, not that I don't like Grupo Vida, don't think I don't. But I have to be brutally honest, because the Lord gave me a chance to be here, and Michelle too. The Lord gave me a chance, and Michelle, and I need to speak up for those that they can't.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for that feedback. Any resources that you have, I think, because we put that request in too. If there are other organizations that we should be in touch with, please let us know. And at the same time, we can put out a public request for folks that are serving this community and doing this work, if they'd like to come and present and talk about the services that they provide. And we can do that too. And Julissa and all other members of the council, if you'd like to help us kind of elevate that message and spread it to your networks so that we can get it even further than our listserv, we can do that as well. We might want to try and schedule that presentation a little bit later in the year so that we have time to reach folks and to schedule when everyone's going to be available. But we can certainly look to broaden that, and we'll look to you as our advisory council member with special expertise in serving that community on how to get the word out.
And thank you very much, Micaela. But if we can do this sooner than later, right now my community is being dismantled. My community is living in fear right now. And to say let's do this later, I don't know how later, because in the meantime that we're thinking about who we're gonna bring to present is families out there who's being dismantled and facing deportation. So for me, this is a topic of urgency and not for later. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. And thank you. That's a great point. And I want to make sure that we can also make sure that we are having time to reach out to those organizations, but certainly understand the urgency and the priority there.
Thank you very much.
So, Michaela, does this mean that we originally talked about not having a July meeting? Does this mean that we should figure out how to have this topic in an August meeting?
So yeah, we do typically, or have in the past, taken a break in July, and I so it was something that you and Brian had discussed. But we can absolutely work to schedule this for an August meeting. And I would definitely defer to you as advisory council leadership to kind of set those agendas, and then Jordan, Lynn, and I will do the work to make sure that we can make that happen.
So before I put other people on the hook myself, and is this, and Michaela, if I'm doing this incorrectly, please guide me. But I hear Jaleesa when she's saying, you know, this is emergent. We're talking about dismantling, we're talking about mass deportations and people being in need and needing this information. I wonder is it okay to ask, since all of us are here, or since we have quorum, can we ask if minimally, can we say, am I allowed to say, I'd really like to have this as an August topic? And can I ask our voting members, you know, can we set this as an August item for discussion? Okay, perfect. All right, peeps. And Abby, I see your hand raised. Do you need to be given the floor before I ask folk if they would like to have this as an August topic?
I don't know if be given the floor, but I just hearing the ask and the need, I just wanted to offer that Rocky can be here and we can be here with our case managers that are in connection and supporting, because I hear the ask of how do we get families connected? How do we build those safe, trusted spaces? And potentially one recommendation might be through bringing in our case managers that have been with Rocky for more than, several decades, to be able to talk about what services, how to get connected, what do those services of support actually look like? And so just a thought, that's all.
Okay.
Rather than a business, or in addition to maybe a business or an organization or something like that.
Understood.
Somebody that's bringing in that different experience from that worked level.
Yeah, in-house experience walking people through the process, or at least walking people through giving guidance on how they can get through the process. Okay, so I like that, and I do see that Adriana has her hand raised.
Perfect. And Adriana, before you come off of mute, I realized I neglected to provide instruction to the rest of the folks on how that they can hear you when you are speaking and having that translated. So folks, if you navigate down to the bottom of your Zoom screen, you should see 3 little dots that say more. And if you click on that, you should see something that says interpretation. Is that coming through for everyone?
Yes.
So if you click on that interpretation, there should be an option to toggle to a listen to. Right now, you should be in original audio. If you toggle to English, once Adriana starts speaking, you should be able to hear her and the interpreter interpreting her question or comment from the original Spanish into English.
I love it. Let's do it.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Adriana, please. Thank you.
Sí, gracias. Mi pregunta es, ¿en cada reunión nos va a acompañar Rocky Mountain?
Oh, thank you, Adriana, for that question. So, Rocky, thank you so much. That we don't have Rocky Mountain present at every meeting. If you're interested in kind of hearing more about the work that they're doing with Mill Levy and providing comments, they do have a monthly community advisory council meeting that's open to the public. And so I think Abby or Kisley can definitely share information about when those are held and how to join those. We do invite Rocky Mountain to various meetings so that they can provide this kind of information for you all to better understand how Mill Levy is programmed and what gaps we're filling. And then you can tell us what gaps there still are, so that Lynn and Jordan and I can work to create and fund programs that are filling those gaps, but they won't be at every meeting. Did that answer your question?
Bueno, eso quiere decir que no, ¿verdad? Que no van a estar en cada.
You are correct. They will not be at every meeting.
Bueno, yo a lo que voy es de que como madre y como líder comunitario, actualmente se ha quitado, como que se ha despejado más el camino para conocer acerca, sobre todo de las extensiones, pero ahora pero ahora nos enfrentamos con, pues sí, con el desafío de que antes no sabíamos la información, estaba muy limitada, y ahora tenemos la información, pero resulta que ahora lo que vemos es que está dentro de esto está existiendo la inigualdad, la inequidad y bueno, pues la injusticia. Y eso eso es lo que la comunidad que yo conozco, eso es lo que está sintiendo, porque tienen a su hijo con deshabilidad en casa, pero mientras unos están teniendo todo o mucho, otros no están teniendo nada y tienen las mismas o peores condiciones. Y eso es lo que está sobresaliendo, y eso es ahí donde uno no está de acuerdo, y donde se ve claramente la inequidad que está apareciendo, y pues es algo pues que no beneficia a la mayoría.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Adriana. That is really critical feedback, and would love to hear more examples of your experience and where you're seeing that inequity throughout all of this system of supports for folks with IDD, so that we can work to address that, and hopefully we can get into that even more during the August meeting where Rocky Mountain Human Services will be present.
Oh, I have 1 minute for my soliloquy. So I'd like to propose another topic for that August meeting. Jordan and Michaela at the last meeting spoke about an RFP for housing for this community. And what I'd like to ask my fellow members to consider is how we might be able to give some guidance to that RFP in the construction of that RFP. And particularly, Jessica and some other members have mentioned that, when we think about housing, like safety is really important. And as I draw back and I think about safety, for me, it means a lot of things in housing. It means things like if I'm if I'm living in this housing as a community member and the power goes out, has it been designed in such a way that I don't have to worry about if my machinery will not be powered? And how are we going to power that machinery? Are we going to do it in a very sustainable manner? Are we going to be good stewards of the environment? And so I'd like to ask that one of our topics in in August be about input that we would, as a IDEAS committee, would like to have put into that RFP. And just to step out a little bit and to give an example, when a government makes an RFP, and if they haven't put in things that are impactful, then it's very expensive for them to come back around and make changes after an RFP has gone out. And so understanding that if we make suggestions before an RFP is created, then we might be able to have those suggestions included in the RFP. And Jordan and Michaela shared with us that the RFP hadn't been created yet. So what I'm saying in short is we have an opportunity, because housing has been, for those of you that are new members, housing was an issue that our predecessors serving on this committee said was important. So now DHS is trying to figure out how to do that, and they're creating a document, an RFP that says request for proposals, that they are now going to ask for guidance on how to do housing for our community. And what I am proposing that we talk about in August is, as a community, what are some of the health and safety, some of the sustainability that's very important to us, some of the things that are design related, could we give input to those who are writing the RFP? So I'm asking, in August, can we talk about how we can help them to design something for our community?
And real quick before folks weigh in, I chatted with Jordan a little bit on timeline too, Michelle. I think if we had that conversation even in September or October, that would be plenty of time to ensure that your feedback can be incorporated into whatever type of RFP or solicitation that we're able to put up. And we're still working through the mechanisms of how to do that in partnership with Host. And so I know that probably the same with this meeting, I tend to get super excited and try and put so much information in one meeting. I wonder if it would be beneficial to break that out into 2 meetings, so to kind of address some of the topics that Julissa, am I pronouncing that correctly?
Oh my
Please
God,
let me know.
I know I was on mute. I was talking over here, spending my little English that I have for the rest of the day. Yes, you are pronouncing my name so right. Basically, my name, guys, you ask who, and then Lisa. Put it together. Who, Lisa? Julissa.
Lovely. Okay, wonderful. So
Thank you,
I'm
Lee.
wondering if, thank you so much, Julissa. I'm wondering if perhaps we could use August, noting kind of the critical urgency of supporting this community that is, as Julissa said, subject to a lot of mass deportations and other attacks through our governing structures, and wondering perhaps to do that in August, and then knowing that we do have plenty of time, perhaps September, for your proposed topic, Michelle. Would that work out okay?
It is fine for me, as long as you are saying that we are going to be able to be impactful, that RFP is not going to be constructed, the next
No.
day. So I'm good with that. So then, with that being said, and looking at the time, for our voting members, can we put in the chat yes to Jalissa's topic of assisting our monolingual and other community members in accessing services for the August meeting, and then the topic of giving input to the RFP in September. So I just kind of need a yes, and then I will know that that is your thing. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Alicia. Thank you, Molly. Jessica, thank you so much. Julissa, thank you so much. Julissa said yes twice. Thank you, thank you. Molly, I know she's weighing in with another yes. I feel it. See, there it is. Boom. And Seth, yes. And just for the record, let me put mine in there. Yes. Yes. Well, that means that's what we're working on, folks, for August and September. And I'm just so happy to see everyone here, and I'm so happy that to be in service with you, because you are all amazing, absolutely incredible people. And so yay us, yay Denver, yay this community, like we're winning, right? We're guiding from heart spaces and from experiences that are lived, uh, or from heart spaces and places that are because of family that we have or friends that we have. So that means that we, by default, are the absolute best. With that, I'm going to say that I believe, Michaela, can I ask for the meeting to be closed out? Can I have a motion that we adjourn this meeting? And if I could just have a second.
This is Alicia.
Perfect. Everyone said that was Halisa for the record and Alicia for the record, giving a second. So let's just go ahead and put in the chat, yes, that we are adjourning, and then we will rock, and you'll get to enjoy the rest of your 1440 for today.
Thank you all so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Goodbye.
Thank you so much.
Adios.
Adios.